Hi everyone. This week in Excel we are going to look at creating charts. So we'll talk about how to create a chart, how to apply designs to our charts, how we can use different chart elements like chart titles and labels and so on our charts. And also we'll look at a few of the different types. So column and bar and a line chart and a pie chart are the ones that we kind of most commonly use. So we'll have a look at those. So there's a practice file this week for you to use as you go through the steps in the video. So if you want to work along with the steps that I'm doing in the video, you can download this file. It's just down underneath the video and it's called Excel Charts Practice File. So click on that and you'll probably be asked to save it. I'm just going to save mine into my downloads folder. Okay, once you've saved it, you'll see at the bottom here, you can click, if you're in Chrome anyway, you'll see something like this, and I'll go to show in folder. So go to wherever your file is in the folder. This type of file is called a zip file. So my Excel file is actually in here. So if I double click into that file, you'll see this file called chartspractice.xlsx. Double click on that and it should open the file in Excel. Okay, so you'll see now something that looks like this. There's a couple of things then that you need to do before you start working on the file. The first one is to click Enable Editing at the top. So up here where you see a kind of a yellow bar at the top, you'll see this anytime you download a file from the internet and that you need to click Enable Editing. It's a security precaution in Excel. Okay, and lastly then, we're going to save the file. You'll be able to see at the moment that it says up at the top here that it's a read-only file. So we definitely need to save it before we start work. So go to File and Save. Save As. Okay, and then you can double click on this PC. Okay, and find a place that you want to save it. I'm just going to go with my downloads folder again, but you might have a folder set up where you want to save all your work for this module. Okay, and I'm going to call it just chartspractice.xl is fine. Okay. So just so that you can see that a bit clearer there, chartspractice.xlsx. Okay, and then click Save. Okay, and then we're ready to start work on that. Okay, so the first sheet, you'll see 3 tabs down at the bottom here: Orders, Grades, and Sales, and we're going to start with the Orders one. So click on Orders, and you should be seeing this spreadsheet. And you might recognize this as the one that we were working on last week. So if you finished the exercise last week, you'll see your finished exercise will look like this. Okay. So before we start kind of getting into looking at charts, I just want to talk a little bit first about these different options in Excel. There's at least five anyway, that I want to talk about, and there's probably a few others as well. But there's all these different what are called cursors in Excel. And what I mean by cursor is your mouse pointer. So your mouse pointer will change in Excel depending on what you're doing. And the reason I kind of want to talk about this is sometimes I'm asking people to sort of select, for example, all of these options here. But what might happen is if you click in the wrong place, it's actually moving that first option as opposed to you selecting all of the text here. Another thing that happens sometimes is people do this, and now suddenly all the words have changed to the same betadine solution. So depending on exactly where you click, your mouse can do different things. And often people starting off in Excel find this very confusing because they don't know exactly what's happening. And yeah, so I'm going to explain now all of these different options. So when you pay attention to how your mouse pointer looks, you'll know what Excel is going to do. So the first one here select. This is this little, if you can see on the left hand side there, if you can see my mouse pointer, it's a little kind of white plus symbol. So that's used for selecting. So if I want to select all of this text here, for example, I would click when I see my mouse pointer as this little white plus, I'll click and drag then. Okay, so that selects, or some people say highlight, that highlights everything or selects everything. Okay, the next option then is what you'll see when you roll over, there's a kind of a green border around the cell. So when you roll your mouse just over the green border, you might see there that my mouse pointer changes to this kind of a symbol. So this four-way arrow. And this one actually moves instead of selecting. So if I click and drag when I see that, it's going to move this piece of text to a different location. And I can select everything first and then roll over the green border of the whole lot. And when I see that four-way arrow, I can move that. So I could move all that text in one go down. You might see, by the way, every time that I'm putting it back to where it was. So to do that, I'm doing Control-Z on the keyboard. That's a shortcut to undo whatever you last did. But there's also this undo option up at the top here. And this is one of the most handy things, I suppose, to know in Excel is the undo option. So if you ever do something and it wasn't what you intended, you can use this kind of backwards arrow up here. Or Control-Z, like I said. Okay, so that's the select and the move options. Next then the fill option. So this is this little tiny green dot that you see in the bottom right corner of the cell. So hopefully you can see that there on your own screen. A little green dot, and if I move my mouse over it, it changes to a black plus, kind of like this, kind of more like a little cross, I suppose, than where the previous one was like a bigger plus. So when you see that, if you click and drag, it's going to, if it's text, it's going to copy that text to all the other boxes. I'm just going to undo that. It also does interesting things, like say with this number, if I know it's actually copying the 20. I'm just going to change this number to a 1 for a second, just so you can see how it works. And I click that little box and drag down. Oh, of course now it won't do it when I want to. Yeah, maybe I need to have the 1 and the 2 there. Okay, so I'll show you that again. So if I select that 1 and 2, hopefully now it should know when I click that green dot and drag down that I want to continue from there. So it'll do a 3 next, and then a 4, and then a 5, and so on. Okay, so you can see it's handy like that as well to, rather than you having to type in the numbers 1 to 10, you can just type the 1 and the 2, and then use that little fill mouse pointer to copy down the rest. Okay. I'm going to just undo those last few things. And that fill also can do days of the week and dates and things like that. So if I put a Monday there and I use that little fill dot to copy down, you'll see it's automatically going to put the rest of the days of the week there. So that's a very convenient feature of Excel. Okay, so that's fill. Next then is type. So the type tool comes up when you double click to enter a cell. So for example, if I double click here, you'll see the mouse pointer now has changed to this, looks kind of like a T. It's actually called an I-beam, but yeah, it's this kind of almost T-shaped pointer, and that will let you click to type in some more stuff in there. Okay. Sometimes what throws people is you won't be able to do any of the other things really while your cell is in typing mode. So if I was trying to highlight these cells here, it won't work if I'm in this typing mode. So what you can do to get out of typing mode is just click anywhere else other than that cell. Okay, and then you'll be able to go back and do your select or whatever it was you wanted to do. And the last one then, you'll see usually when you roll over the edge of something. So for example, if I roll over the edge of here in between column A and B, I get this resize mouse pointer, and that one lets me resize. You may have seen this one last week with the columns. So if I want to make that column a little bit bigger, I can do that. And it works the same over here on the rows as well. Okay, so hopefully that kind of clarifies the different options with the mouse pointer in Excel. Okay, so moving on then with charts, and this kind of brings me to, I suppose, the reason that I was talking about all that is the first thing you need to do when you want to create a chart is to select all of the information that you want to appear on the chart. So I want all of this to be part of the chart. So you're going to click in this cell here, A2, when you see that white plus, and then click and drag across so that it selects all of this. So we want all these names of the items, the quantity, the cost per unit, and all those numbers as well. Okay, and with all that selected, then go to Insert on the menu and click on Chart. And Charts over here is this kind of middle section on the menu. There's a load of little icons here, and each of these represents one of the different chart types. But if you click on Recommended Charts, it will open up a box where you see all of the different options. So first it'll show you some recommended charts, but here you can click on All Charts, the second tab, to show you all the options that there are. And it'll bring up here column by default, but you can see there's loads of other options there like line and pie and bar and so on. And we'll have a look at some of those in a while, but we'll stick with the column chart for now. At the top, there's more options, so you can choose the type of column chart. I might choose a 3D clustered column there. Okay, and then you can choose one of the options here. So we'll go with that first one and click OK. Okay, oops, didn't mean to click that. So I want to click anywhere in the white space of the chart here, and you can see again, this is where the mouse pointers kind of come in handy. When I see that 4-way arrow, that's the one I want to move the chart. So I just want to move this over so that I can see the information and the chart at the same time. Okay, so you should be able to see then this chart relates to the information that you have here, and it's showing me the quantity that was ordered. So for example, I can see what we've ordered the most is disposable gloves and antiseptic wipes, and it's also showing me in red then the cost per unit, so I can see, well, we've spent the most on, I guess, soap dispensers. It looks like they're the most expensive thing that we buy. Okay, so that's that chart created. You'll see by default, because we've highlighted all of this information like the names of the items and the headings on those columns like quantity and cost per unit, it's picked up all that information and put it on the chart. If you had only selected just all the numbers, your chart might look a bit different. But if you ever need to kind of reselect the information that the chart is coming from, you can do that on the Chart Tools menu up at the top there. Go to Select Data, and then you'll be able to highlight again all of the information that you wanted to include, and just click OK. Okay, next we're going to look at then adding some different elements onto our chart. So when you click on a chart, you get an extra menu at the top up here called Chart Design, and there's also a Format menu as well. So Chart Design, first of all, it gives us things here like adding chart elements. So that's things like chart title, which we already have actually in this case, or things like data labels. And I'll choose that here so just so you can see what it looks like. And in the case of this chart, actually that does not look good at all, but you can see what it's doing anyway. It's adding a little call out, or a little kind of almost like a speech bubble, I suppose, for each bar on the chart to show what it is and how much of it there is as well. So I'm actually going to turn that off for this chart again. That was in Add Chart Element, Data Labels, and I'll just change it back to none. Okay, the chart title is there. I'm just going to change that now to say, just call it orders. Okay, and to do that, by the way, I just double clicked into it and then typed my my new title. Okay, we'll come back to those chart elements in the next couple of examples and see what else we can add, but I think that's okay for this one. Also, then you can do things like you can change the colors on the chart. Okay, and there's also chart kind of quick styles. So I'm just going to pick, let's say, just that one there. And you can see it applies a whole load of different styles. So it kind of gives it a bit more of a 3D effect there. You can see the lines going back, for example, and has a grey background and so on as well. And you can try out those different options yourselves and see which you like the look of. Okay, actually, I'm going to undo that because I preferred it. Yeah, I preferred it just like that. Okay, but like I said, for yourselves, just try out all the different options and you'll see which one you like. And lastly here, I just want to show you that you can also change chart type at this stage. So if I did decide, okay, I actually would have preferred a line chart, I can go and still do that at this stage. Okay, right, so I think that's it for the first chart. Now we're going to go and have a look at creating another type of chart. So again, at the bottom of your spreadsheet there, you'll see an option for grades. So click on that. And in this chart, in this sheet, there is information on grades. So this is split down by letters. So for example, the amount of people who got an A, how many people got a B, and so on. When you have just one category of information like that, sometimes a pie chart is a good one to use. So again, here you can highlight all the information from grades. And when you see that white plus, click and drag all the way down to capture all the letters and all the numbers there. And again, go to Insert on the chart menu. We'll click on Recommended Charts. And we can see a pie chart there actually. So we can click on that. That's a kind of a quick way to get your pie chart. Or we could go to All Charts, go to Pie, and maybe choose a different type here. So I might choose this 3D one. Okay, so here then you can see it's created that chart. I'll give it a title again. Grades. Okay. And now actually, so here at the bottom, you might be able to see this a bit better if I zoom in. It's selected all of the grades for the legend, which is good, A, B, C, D, and so on. But it's also got the word grades there. So actually that doesn't really make sense to be there. So what I might just do is reselect that data. And this is a good thing for yourselves to try as well, just to see how that's done. So again, click on Select Data in the menu at the top. Then you'll see the option to re-highlight whatever you want it to be in the chart. So this time I'm going to just select from the letter A down and across to grab all the numbers as well. And click OK. And yeah, that has fixed that issue there. That now I just see the letters A to F in the legend and not the word grades. So that's what I wanted. Okay, and going back to Add Chart Element, this time I might add some data labels here. So if you go to Add Chart Element and Data Labels, you can see here you can choose different options, whether you want them to show up in the center of the little piece of pie, or whether you want them to show up at the end or outside or whatever. I might just go for best fit and we'll see what that looks like. And it's decided that the best fit is to have them just inside, so that's fine. Okay, and lastly then you might just have a look yourselves again at the different chart styles and see if you like the look of any of those. I don't know, I'm being fussy now. Yeah, okay, I'm gonna go with that one. But again, it's up to yourselves. Just try out those different options there and see what you think. Okay, so that's pie charts. And lastly then we're going to look at an example of a line chart. So go to the sales sheet here, and here you'll see some information on sales for different counties. So Waterford, Carlow, Kilkenny and Wexford, and over a few years as well. So this is a little bit different in terms of the information that's there. For this kind of information, by the way, I've just zoomed in here, and the reason this is looking kind of strange now is just that there's not enough space in these columns to display the numbers. So I'm just going to make those columns a little bit bigger. So if you ever see those hash symbols, don't panic. It's just that you need to make your column a little bigger to show the full number. So yeah, so this information is a little bit different because we've got kind of two different dimensions here. We've got the years and we've got the different counties. So this kind of information will be good for a column chart or bar chart or line chart, but not so much for a pie chart. A pie chart would be good maybe just to show, like, let's say just 2017 for the 4 different counties. So once again, I'm going to select all that information and go to the chart menu and into the all charts option. And this time I want to choose a line chart. And I'm just going to go with the first default option there to add that. Okay, and so here I'm going to put in a chart title of just sales. Okay, and so you can see here what it's done by default is to have the years represented as lines and then the counties across this axis here. So sometimes it does a good job of representing the information kind of the right way around, or the way that you would want it, but sometimes it doesn't. So what you can try here on the menu is to switch the rows and the columns. And on any chart really that you do, you can tick this option, switch row and column, and you might just see that your chart makes more sense one way versus the other way. So if I do that now, you'll see that it's switched it around so that now we've got the years across the bottom, so 2017, 2018, 2019, and the counties represented in the different coloured lines. So it does, I think, make more sense this way, because you can kind of see, let's say for Carlow, you can see that the sales went up a little bit in 2018 and down a bit in 2019. So that would, usually with line charts, they're good for things like that, where you want to show a trend over time. So for that reason, it would make sense to have the years be the ones going across the bottom like this. Okay, so hopefully that all makes sense, and you can try that out yourselves. And again, if you want to try out here all the different chart elements, there's loads of different options here. So try those out yourselves and you can see what kind of options you can set on that chart. Okay, in the next video, I'm just going to go through the exercise for this week as well.